Hi and good afternoon if you're lucky enough to be watching me live, and for those of you who are viewing this and purchased your ticket, thank you very much. I appreciate your support. So exciting month, new moon in Aries, so magical neurological goal setting, I entitled this today, and I wanted us to focus on with the focus on the feminine, very much so. So I'm going to just a lot for us to get through. So if you have created your sacred space, if you haven't already, then pause the video, go do what you need to do. As in the link below, when you purchase your ticket, there's a little video on how to create a sacred space, but just briefly. So if you want to go and take a nice salt bath, please do so. We are still in this, when I'm recording this for you live, this is a very dense energy. We've got the stellium going on, so it will pick up as we go into the new moon, and when you're viewing this with the new moon, it'll be more relevant. It will be easier, but if you're doing this prior to that, then just do your little bit of background, cleanse your energy, your space. I say check out that video, it's free, it's just on your page where you booked in Eventbrite. So if you haven't already, go and do that and pause this, and then when you're back, then welcome back. I myself, I've got some frankincense burning in the room. I have energy cleansed this room because I do my qigong in here. I have Byron music playing and sound bowls quite often. This is my space where I work. I like to try and keep that very sacred in that light. So hopefully, and from the videos, my cat curled up down there. So this week's video, I want to, as I said, go into more of the feminine aspects and the astrology, and I'll touch on that. I have reams of notes because there's so much going on. It feels like every month that we go through this, we just get ever more intense energy. But this is a new beginning. It's the first new moon in Aquarius, and we have some wonderful, and I must just say, I'm not an astrologer, and I will put some links to some other videos for some astrologers who I highly recommend below this video in the links in the description, along with your new moon download, which will be also linked for you to, if you haven't already downloaded that, then you can pause and print that out, or you can have that up on your screen in the background. We will go through some of the things. So where to start? I was kind of going through a couple of videos and making some notes on how do I kind of contain this into an hour and a half, and the thought of doing that was quite daunting. So I've added the links, as I said, to Pam, who goes into much more in depth and the actual alignments of the astrology. The key energies for this month, as Yasmin has in her diary, are excitement, determination, challenges, and femininity. And I wanted to focus on the femininity and the aspects of the Aries and Aries, which is a Mars's sister, that feminine energy, but this kind of almost wild warrior goddess that Pam refers to, because I think it's quite significant, this radical shift that's sort of still coming in and out now. We have her because she's in the outer systems with between 2020 and 2021. Also that conjunct happening along with the Jupiter Aquarian alignments that keep coming in and out that we've got. So in the bigger picture, which I think will come through quite strongly from this new moon, because this energy move, very mental, very fast moving. I myself, I've been looking at different ways that I can be more in balance with myself in my own access. So and if you're following me on my page, then you're aware that this month we are working with integration, and integrating all of the previous challenges that I set you from here way back in July in 2020, with just that simple beginnings, and they're all available on my Instagram channels or on my YouTube channels and live videos. If you go back, you can go over those challenges if you want to work through them yourself, because this is the new beginning. This is the beginning of the astrological year. I don't work with the Gregorian calendar. I've been following, because I'm working through my own path with Matisse Stefano. We're following an ancient calendar from the Atlantean times, which works with cycles of 3 sets of 10 days. We work with the archetypal energy of each astrological archetype and how we are affected by that, and to align within each of those. And at the end of that, we have 5 days out of time. So the calendar itself is slightly different. So we were still in the Piscean archetype when Aries still came in the normal astrological chart. But I'm today, when I'm recording this container for you, about the completion of the mental. And I thought that was a really good, significant synchronicity, because this very mental aspect with the Gemini, the twins, and that fast moving energy that we've got of Aries going on. I know myself can find this quite, what's the word? I'm doing it now. Actually kind of holding on to a thought, and I just kind of like that, because it's so fast. Action, 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 action. But this can be a tool for us to use, especially in the new moon, because Aries has this courageousness about it. It's got this courage to it, where we can just kind of go for it. But there's less planning. There's like, well, I'm going to kind of do this. I'm going to get that done. I've got that energy and that drive and that passion, that fire, that seeded fire. Or what was it called? What they call all of my notes. Cardinal, that's the word, cardinal fire energy, that new way of thinking and seeing, I've written here in my notes, the leader quality, the new starts, so all of these energies are this like possibilities of, and this passion and drive to do them. However, it lacks the planning, it lacks that Saturn of the patterns and structures. Well, we've got ongoing in the background, we've got this breaking down of structures now, and which will continue down to 2026. So this is really good for us in our own lives and our own patterns, our own structures that aren't working. So when it comes to your journal, and we will be doing that with the new moon journal, I want you to think about what your fears are, what your patterns are, because this is a perfect time and a perfect new moon for us to be planting the seeds of what we want for the next 6 months, because we've also got going on in the background, and as I said, the themes of this more femininity feelings of the name of her Homia in the outer, the other things going on. So this new being, ideological birthing of the new earth, the sign of the Taurus earthly sign, and this new earth. And there's this sense going on that, and this is my interpretation as well, and some things that I've heard others say, but I kind of sense lots of us, me obviously, I chose to become vegan a few years back, but there's a more awareness of nutrition, and the couple of the different archetypes that are in a line with fertility, with that agriculture, and the Egyptian goddess, for example, around this time, Selbet, is it, if I'm pronouncing that right? It's this, you can feast or famine. So the land can be fertile, or the land can be in famine, and looking at how we eat, how we are with our product, because the other aspect that there was to do with what's the word, not agriculture, but see my brain holding those thoughts in shift. Production and dealing with not abundance but commerce. Commerce is the word I was looking for. So those two together in how we distribute and how we are with farming and all of those things, I think will come into play on a wider picture. And I feel that this is quite important with what's going on in the world today and how it came about, to do with eating and dietary. So on a smaller scale, on a personal scale for us, to look at our body and what we eat and what's right for us and what feels right. For those of you who are of Muslim descent, this month is the month of Ramadan, and in this month they look at, which I think is very lovely, I mean, different perspectives. And I think this Aries looking, new vision, having this visionary leadering way of doing things, to look from different perspectives and seeing things from a 360 degree, rather than going, oh, this is like that and that's like that, and just switching, but looking from a more rounded view. And from the other person's perspective is what you're meant to do in this time, spiritually. Look at other spiritual religious texts and other things that are not necessarily what you would do, and see. And I because of what I'm doing with Matisse, we are re-signifying each and every day and do our own due diligence, because that has to come from within. So yes, viewing what's outwardly happening, but how do we feel about that? What is it that it means to us? And re-signifying some of those things and seeing the connections, that this and this and this, like I'm saying, like the Egyptian goddess, this means that, and then you've got this other archetype meaning this, and they're all actually saying the same kind of archetypal energy happening around this time. And you start to see like a magic puzzle that you're putting these pieces together. The other thing is this sense of our going back to our roots. That was Hermia, the Hawaiian goddess, and this sense of sorry, lost my connection there. Let's just allow the flow. When I say going back to the roots, I mean nature, and nature's how it is, how we've forgotten to be more shamanic, and the shamanistic viewpoint and understanding and remembering these wonderful wisdoms that we have in various cultures, the Aborigine, Peru, India, all across the world. And I'm probably forgetting some, but that they're all saying very similar things. And there's definitely this, especially for this time, if any of you have come across the Tao-Tek prophecies, I know people muddle them up with the Mayan prophecies and so the date change, but actually they are for this time period. And one of the things they say about is learning to dream again and manifest, which for any of you that are drawn to this know that that's what we do at the new moon. And it's getting back to this sense of our feminine connection with that cycles, the menstrual cycle, the cycles and the bigger cycles that we have going on, and having that and what it means to you, how you introduce that ritual. As I say in my video, when with setting your sacred space, that means different things to different people. And this also, for me, those rituals that may have been practiced that are coming down through traditions, how we can then re-signify what they mean to us in the modern terms and modern days, how and why they did things. For example, we all know, and I'm sure that you are aware of, the sense of vibration and sound and the resonance and frequency and the science with physics of how we are the creators of our universe, that what we attract, the definition of karma, as I've been taught. Lots of people think of it as this in the next life, but it's in this life. We have our karma happens instantaneously because it's our resonance of what we put out, we get back. It echoes depending on who you are with and who it hits, like a cave. But that ripples through and back. But the ancients with vibration and sounds and beats and rhythms, and how they brought that with singing bowls and sounds, and what that means for us. So we have this new understanding of the connection between the ancient practices that have been somewhat forgotten, have been kind of filtered down through time, through our ancestors, awakening again and looking with fresh eyes, with the new understanding that we have, to see the relevance that they have in our lives and these bigger cycles that they were aware of and very in tune with, because for them, they lived their life in tune with this. Their life, it was a matter of life and death for them. They were in tune because they had to be, because it meant whether they ate, whether they were killed by the tiger, by the waterhole. But as we've evolved and we're becoming more conscious of this and these patterns that our brains, through thousands of years of evolution, no longer have to think about doing these things. We do them on autopilot. Now it happens that the saber-toothed tiger at the waterhole may be the boss that you're stressed about with, or that event, or the mother-in-law. But if we understand these inherent patterns that are there to help us, and our fears, that we can work with them and work with our body, and then use the neurological to evolve ourselves with our thinking and our mindset, as well as how we goal set through the cycles in a more traditional way of doing things. And that's what I'm very much about. So as I'm very aware of time, I'd like to move on from a little bit away from the astrology. I'll add to this Aries we think of as the fire, the god of war, but the positive aspect to Aries, and I think there's definitely an IG video that I've done specifically on this, I think at the beginning of April, but it's the ignition, it's the spark, it's that having to ignite the fire. And we've got this fiery, all of these planets now in Aries. I think it's listing we've got, where is it? Needs to know them off by heart. Here we go. Pages. I said I wrote pages. So yeah, we've got the stellium. You've got the sun, the moon. You'll have Mercury, Venus. They're all going to be in Aries, so they're all being effective and all affect in different ways. And obviously, you want to look to where that is in your chart, and how that affects you with your rising sign. If any of you follow Yasmin Boland in her diary, she I don't think they're available anymore, but next year you can book, and I'm not an affiliate, just to love her. But so maybe I'll read what she's put here as Aries' new moon goes. This is an interesting one. One hand, it's basically the same place at the same time as Venus, the planet of love and abundance, and that's a good thing. It's just some kind of restart, connection to love and abundance for all of us, but especially for those who choose to tap into the new moon energy with this simple ritual ceremony, or probably, right, okay, hang on. Venus is also about to clash with Pluto when the new moon takes place. This could symbolise a year ahead in which women will be fighting for their rights. And this, again, with lockdown, homeschooling, loads of women, I know, it's just some men as well, but have been expected to just homeschool and put the homeschooling by. So there's this, like, well, hang on a minute, we're not getting paid to homeschool, and all of this has been going on in the back of what about our work and having to do both. There's definitely that going on in the background, and I've heard that theme come up again. But also this feminine, as I said, the aspects of the fact that what about the planet? There's this sense of minorities that symbolises, where fighting and the grassroots and the top from top-down authority and contrast, where they're all in tight-knit, and I won't go too much into that, but as I said, I put the link that Pam says, and she goes into that beautifully and discusses all about that side of things that I feel is very going to come into play over the next period as we go back into this fork in the road as well. I will add the choices that there are definitely more conscious awareness of people that are aware of the truths and this sense of things being revealed, those as opposed to let's just go with the flow, we do what's right, not ever being that bothered and just doing what they're told kind of attitude, and feeling a bit like, well, that's not for me, this is my right, this is my body, this is like, just this is what and who and I am responsible for. And then you've got this clash going on, this slow moving, which will continue as revelations and other stuff and other truths and more revealed will be coming in. Both will have, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So symbolising a year ahead with women will be fighting for their rights, it could also herald a week in which women are asked to stand up to the patriarchy, to embrace their goddess and consciousness. And I really feel this strong sense of the goddess coming and this goddess awakening, which is what I wanted the theme for this. It's a sense of the nurture, nature, coming alive, awakening of the kundalini, and the balance between the divine feminine and masculine is a big thing of that in tune with nature, of what is right for us, of knowing our bodies and knowing our cycles and that understanding and having this natural, and it's genetically imprinted over thousands of years from ancestry. It's in our blood. We know that this, when it viscerally you feel it, there's a sense of the body just knows what's right and what's wrong, and that can be for how you feel. It reminds me of Mary Watterson when she speaks. She said when she went into a church, and she, because of what they were talking about, she came out in hives, because it felt wrong to her. And this sense of, as a child, I always with that gut feeling. So knowing what's right for you and knowing what the body tells you, your body, and how you're feeling, and listening to that, and listening to what food's right for you and what's not right, and just listening and having that understanding where, and knowing when your energies are good and in which part of the moon, paying attention and the subtleties of that, of knowing, right, at this point of my month and my cycle, or energetically right now, I'm feeling this denser sense of energy, I need rest, I need to be cleansing, detoxing and doing those things, and knowing when that is for you, because it's different for all of us. We have our own rhythms as well as the rhythms and the natural rhythms. So that sense of embracing. The new moon in Aries is a wonderful time to tune into the goddess energy, using the rising sign to get to know the goddess who guides you from this list by an amazing Dr. Jenny Livingston, who has a PhD in goddess studies, Aries of Phoenix. So I would also add to that Megan Watterson. I got this up to tell you earlier. Let me see if it's still there. No, that's Chiron. Okay, just a second. No, I'll go into this as well, of how we can, the other six things I wanted to go over and go with you, but let's get you back so I can see that you're still there. You are the goddess. I think it is. I was just trying to think. Sophie Banchet, if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably mispronouncing the name. I'll put a list in the descriptions below. But you are the goddess. There's another one. I'm sure it was up because there was about 3 or 4 and I couldn't remember them. Let me just give me one more. These tabs open. I'm just going to type it in and get it up for you, because I think these are quite important if you are looking for. Oh, there we go. Wild Power by Shajane Hugo and Alexander Pope. The Divine Feminine, Spiritual Awakening of the Soul Balance by Carly Harris. You Are the Goddess by Sophie Bashford. That's the one I love and the one I've read. The Divine Feminine by Megan Watterson. Sacred Pathways by Cassandra. That was the one I was thinking of. I couldn't remember. Cassandra Evan. Those are books for further reading that I would recommend. And also Megan Watterson's Mary Magdalene, if for any of you who are interested in that connection between the religious as well, because I feel this is something that will be possibly coming more and more with the more copies that they found, and the more relevant to this time at the moment, which kind of talks of the teachings of Jesus, but told from different perspective, that was kind of edited out of history. And I do feel a sense of that there is this want for an updated version of things to be put right, and for that to be acknowledged as well, because it was in a time when obviously women didn't have the same status, that obviously Jesus didn't have those views, and was completely, I think of him as the modern man, and with all minorities, but the church and the those in power at the time obviously were human, and so therefore certain things were edited out. So I think that maybe is something that will be changing in the future, or coming forward, more texts and things to come through. But anyway, that I'm digressing. That's a whole other podcast, I think, for you. Where are we back to? No, where have you disappeared completely? Right. So Athena, the ones that Yasmin works with, Athena, Hathor, Swati, and Moonchild, Cancer, Selena, Leo, Medusa, Virgo, Libra, Lamashi, and Aphrodite, Durga, and Fortuna, Juno, Hector, Isis, who I myself are very drawn to, Kulaying, and you can just Google the goddesses and have these images. But one of the things I do myself is I chant on a daily basis, and maybe we'll do a little bit of that today. That might be quite nice for us to bring in as an element for the goddess. But if you have a goddess that you yourself have an affinity with, then having an image, having a sense of, and I mean, some people believe in the actual it being the person. I talk about it as a normal energetic, as both, basically, that source will reveal itself in whatever archetypal energy, just as the angelic vibrations will also come through, depending in accordance with your beliefs. So whatever they are, and if you are more science minded, I get both. For example, I quite often see the colours of the vibration and the DNA helix spinning, and the swirling, and energy as itself as an energy. Although I also have seen beautiful visions as well of the goddess coming through too. So it depends, and this visionary energy and new birthing energy is very, very potent at the moment. So let's move on from some of the astrology. I know I lingered there a little bit because there's a lot to go through. I was just thinking also you've got from the 9th to the 10th, which is also happening. So you've got the squaring off between Mars and Neptune, and what have I written in my diary here as notes? So bring it back. So definitely meditation around this time is very, very good because it's very fast, moving and action orientated, that you want to be taking inspired action because there's this lack of planning. There's this lack of, like it needs to be, I tend to go with my gut, go with what feels right. And then learning from those mistakes, being the pioneer. And I remember Russell Brunson, there always talks about the pioneers are the ones with the arrows in the back. So they're the ones that make the mistakes. So the ones that are on the leading edge of creation. They're the ones that are out there doing their thing. But that also is a really exciting and fun thing to do, and can be quite, if you are in the practice of working through, like I do with the path every day, doing the work regularly and knowing what is right for you, your patterns, seeing what your patterns are and allowing yourself. So questions I noted was to ask yourself. So if you refer to your moon download, if you get that up, if you want to pause the video for you to have a chance to grab your download that you've got, I'll just give you a chance to do that while I get mine up. So on your first page, it just says journal. You'll notice that they are blank for you to write. So you can write down your questions within those. Oh, hang on. What's happened there?
Crazy dream.
Wow.
I write it in a piece of paper and I
Excuse
put it in
me.
this box. And I
What have you
imagine
done?
this box is kind of like a G.
You've decided you want to listen to, that was Vishnu and Lucky in the background. Do you? Attention, Mum. Excuse me. I don't think they want to see Pussycat, or do they? Do you want out? You say hello. This is my Egyptian Mel. You say hello to everyone. You want cuddles? Okay, I'm going to be doing this with cuddles, are we? Alright. Okay. Right. Whilst I cuddle the cat, I shall read this to you, these questions. So I've got a couple of my own, and I'm going to also Yasmin's from her diary, from the Moonology diary from 2021. So one thing before we do our intention and our burn list, question to ask yourself: what do you want for the coming 12 months? Yasmin asks us. Take a moment, you can pause this and journal through. When you're ready, press play. One of the things that come through from the guides was this sense of courageousness, and over in here, what are your fears? Because this is a really good time to face your fears, because you've got that sense, Cosmos giving you a helping hand to be bold, to just go for it. So what are you afraid of? If you think about this in terms of, if you've got your previous month's journals and you go through what you wrote down that you wanted to manifest, in your intentions that you wanted to seed, if there's anything that actually hasn't happened, I want you to circle the stuff that hasn't happened, because I want you to think about why. What is it that you maybe have resistance over? so that you're in awareness of that. So once we won't focus too much, but you can also perhaps do a focus wheel to get past that. But this is a time that you can think to yourself, no, I've got this. I am is the affirmation for this month. So that I am sense, I'm working with the I am for the whole year. So the I am project, your Soleil. And then when you're ready, you can press pause or play depending on what you need. And with regards to what you wanted for the next 12 months, am I willing to commit? So with your new moon wishes and your intentions, are you actually willing to commit? This is a time you may be feeling bold, but it's also because of this, lots of stuff coming through, fast moving energy, that maybe things won't get taken to fruition. So what are you willing to commit, and notice where any resistance comes up? And obviously pause the video when you need to. So in regards to the feminine, Yasmin put question was, what does it mean to be feminine in 2021? Ask this regardless of your gender, because we all have an aspect of the divine feminine and the divine masculine in with. And I would add to that, what does the divine feminine mean to you? What comes to mind when you speak of the divine feminine? When I first heard anyone talk of the divine feminine, it was actually by a man. It was Charlie Moray talking about the divine feminine aspect within the dreamscape and lucid dreaming, and he said that he asked for his divine feminine to come forward, and Beyonce Knowles come forward with this with like attitude kind of stuff. For me, the goddess energy represents the nurturing, but also that firmness as well, knowing your own mind, knowing what's right for you. It can also mean many things to many different people. It represents coming together in circle, as we do each month for the new and full moon circles. So what's divine feminine mean to you as a man or as a woman? And do you have a balance of the divine feminine? Oh, you can let me put it down. So just to add to this, some other things to think about and to allow is also the sexuality, how you feel about your body and your own sexuality, being in tune. Spirituality, people often talk of and think of as being up there, somewhere outside and away, but with the divine feminine, it's very much bringing it down to earth, down to here, inside and inwardly, reflecting within with the heart, and reminds definitely potent of the heart chakra to connect with that aspect of ourself, but to look within with love and compassion, and also knowing that the root chakra is what grounds all the above chakras. So I mean, I do more, we do the feet and the knees as well, but I know most people think of the root, the solar plexus, the plexus, and the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown as the main chakras. There are many more, but you need to ground that energy, and being grounded in the earthly things, our sexuality, being aware of our body and loving our body and knowing the pleasures of life and are connected. So it reminds me of the Kundalini and this all, I think, that bold being who we are, stepping into our power as a human being, regardless of our sexuality, regardless of our sex. There's a beautiful quote I think I shared, let's see if I can read it to you, that's actually from Jesus for Tuesday's transformational quotes. On a Tuesday I share quotes. Read it from the quote, and I feel this is very much in line with what I've just speaking about. Gospels of Thomas, there we go. When you make the two into one and make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner, and the upper like the lower, and when you make male and female into single one, so that the male will not be male, nor the female be female, when you make eyes in place of eyes, and the hands in place of hands, foot in place of foot, an image in place of an image, then you will enter the kingdom. Meaning, when you are beyond all, whether masculine, feminine, sexuality, the physical aspects, with seeing of reality, of what is, just connecting to the inner realms, the consciousness, the kingdom that is here and now. Come out of my page. So, with that in mind, you're going to let me put you down? He used to be the whole time. He's really heavy. Bless him, my little one here. Oh, he's still going. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Yeah. I'm just going to see if you feel. No one wants to see Mummy's big. So, oh, okay. Nice little cuddle, but I need my arms for the next bit. Let's just connect to our heart. So I ask you to, in line with your own, in accordance with your own beliefs. And obviously, whatever I say, whatever resonates with you, take on board. What doesn't resonate with you, I'm not offended if it doesn't. What resonates, all I'd say is if something doesn't resonate, if it triggers, then maybe that's a call to ask why, and to reflect on and to look into why and see where that journey takes you, because things that trigger us are our tools to growth, to understanding for all of us. Cat here. So to connect with our heart's coherence, we're going to get aligned with our heart. Your field goes out about a metre around you, and I want you to envision that in your mind. Actually, you put your hands on your heart. If it helps, then actually put your hand on your jugular, your vein, and feel your heartbeat. You can do it in the hand pulse, or even here over your heart. But just the awareness of your heart should take your mind's awareness to it. But if it helps to feel the pulse of your heart, feel that steady heartbeat in awareness of the organ that's there in the physical, as well as the visualization of what is there in the ethereal that now science can measure. We're going to connect to the micro and the macro, that which can be measured and that which can't. Just focus on your breath and that image of your heart. Breathing in, oxygenating the body. I want you to start to breathe in, really deep breath in. If it helps you to feel the hand on the heart or on your stomach, so that you're really breathing in and exhaling out fully through the mouth. Breathing in fully through the nose, as much as you can, as if you're filling up a balloon, as your stomach, your lungs are the balloon, and out, a heart breath. So breathing in and out. And keep this deepness of breath as we tune into the breath work and focus on our coherence, just letting go of any thoughts that arise. Just observe. If you need to make a note to write it down, sometimes helps. But whatever, just bringing the mind and your awareness back to the flow of your breath and breathing as deeply in as you can for at least a count of 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then slowly exhaling out again. If you can double that 9, then as you're breathing in, with every breath, breathing in energy, breathing that, oxygenating that blood flow around the body to the brain, and breathing out. As you're breathing out, letting go and into relaxation, relaxing the body with every exhale. If you need to roll the shoulders, sometimes it helps is when you're breathing in to tense the fists, and then when you breathe out and exhale, you let go. So you let go each time slightly more deeper with every breath. And just continuing to do this, we ask our guides, our multi-dimensional self, our higher selves, God, Goddess, whatever aligns with our own beliefs, for the part of us that is more than the macro part and micro parts, in awareness of both simultaneously, for whatever comes up to be for the highest good. We set the intention, and you keep breathing for me, breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I want to share these words with you just while you're there. The words of Eckhart Tolle are to offer no resistance to life is to be in a sense of grace, ease and lightness. This state is then no longer dependent upon things being in a certain way, good or bad. Just sit with those words for the moment. Sense of stillness, of just being in the breath. No good, no bad. It's the polarities that creates polarities. Allowing yourself just to be. Keep that breath flowing. Just breathing. Allow it to wash over you. Feel as though you're connecting to yourself, your own energy, the energy that is part of you, part of me, that physics tells us is one in the same in the smaller scheme of things, the space between that makes up 90% of our universe. The nothingness of space, the vastness that is part of you, that is in everything and everyone. The void, the stillness, if you have crystals that you hold, thinking of the structure and the compression that's created those crystals. And still, space between the space on the smaller scale, the atoms, the molecular structure of the things around us, including us, floating, breathing the breath, the ethers that we breathe in to our lungs and filling the body, the anchor for the spirit. Thanking our body for holding the spirit, the soul, as a container to experience the perspective, different multiple perspectives, allowing you to see, allowing the greater part of you to see with clarity and understanding. And while you're in this state, just allow it to wash over you. I'm going to pull some cards for you. Keepers of the light. The energy aspects. Asking yourself, and if you need to journal, you can do at the end, or whatever's right for you. There's no right or wrong. Pose the question: what is my spark? What is my ignition, my passion? How can my passion help others? make inspired action. Express your divine passion. Sensual and sexual powers are increased. Aries, goddess, life force. Knowing those passions can be directed. Our energy, our sexual energy, is an energy in itself that can be directed, that should not be abused, that is a great focus. Aries, pronounced Canunus, also known as Hermia, is the Celtic stag god who represents connection to the earth. He is the one of the oldest recognised Celtic gods and featured on the Galpstand cauldron, a giant silver vessel from the Iron Age. He is the lover of the Great Mother and the impregnates the land so that it can be filled with life. He can help us from the connection with the animal spirits and ancestors of the land. Extended messages: there is a deeper built up of life force within you now, and you need to channel it into action. You may have extra energy or be more alert than usual, or be aware of senses of increased sensual or sexual energy. If you have been unsure how this ties into your spiritual path, know that it can allow you to access the richness of your soul. When we are not expressing ourselves sexually, our spiritual potential can become tamed and muted. So if you are denying yourself a desire, ask yourself how you can fulfill it. Ask Aries to help you access your sexual self so that you can express it with integrity and in a way of honouring that honours your soul. If you and your partner are trying for a child and this card appears, fertility is very possible, especially if Bridget, Aries' twin flame, is present too. It's also the Celtic reminds me of this time, the new beginnings, the spring, fertility, facing our fears, Kalaluma. Major spiritual changes are unfolding. This is your chance to soar. Soar with her. Fly up. Feel yourself rising as you are rooted to the ground in the sensual aspect of your body. Fly high with the spirit too, at the same time facing fears. Kalama is the Hindu goddess of death and rebirth. She brings old cycles to an end so that we can express transformation. She is a strong, fierce, fiery and powerful image of a divine feminine. Many have been intimidated by her, but she is the mother energy and therefore completely loving. She likes a fierce mother protecting her child from harm. She has a dark energy like the night, but it consumes fear and leaves only love. She is the twin flame of the god Shiva and has even been known to slay his ego so that he can reveal his true loving self. This is a time when you are able to look fear in the eyes and move away from it. Fear is just energy, and energy can be changed. This can be an intense experience because the human self is so conditioned that it may be used to operating with fear present. When fear is gone, it may feel as though an emptiness is there. But this is space for love and miracles to enter. You are being filled with the courage of spirit now so that you can move from this phase of your life to the next. Trust the process and call on Kalama to help you release your fear and step into a space that's strong and focused and courageous. How significant that those were the cards we pulled. Feel yourself embracing whichever you feel drawn to. See those images. Allow yourself to listen to the inner realms of your consciousness. Let it wash over you, feeling the passions coming into your heart. Bringing it back to the body. And the awareness of the body and your breath, bringing that breath back into your mind's thoughts. Whatever messages, whatever insights have come from today that you can write later, for this moment, come back into the present moment, in this now moment. To tune back into the body, I want you to wiggle your toes, moving your fingers, rounding the shoulders back, feeling your body relaxed, in its state of relax. We're going to wake back up. I want you still with your eyes to remain closed. Tilt your head to one side, it doesn't matter which side, and gently roll your neck or your ear over your shoulder, ever so gently. Whatever's right for you, what feels wrong in your body, then don't do this, then just gently. And then gradually, as the chin goes down to the chest, going across onto the other side, doing the same movement, just a subtle stretch. Often feel tight across the shoulders, but just tuning back into the energy of yourself and your body. Listen to what feels right. Going all the way back, ever so gently, ever so slowly, to do a rotation of the head to the chin down. One way. When you get to the back, go back around the opposite direction to whatever you've done. Ever so gently. With your hands, we're going to do the same, the opposite. We want to bring the energy to the heart. Just putting one hand, it doesn't matter which out in front as if you're scooping the energy into your heart with one hand. As one hand touches your heart, the next scoops the energy, as if you're cupping the air in front of you and bringing it to your heart. Just bringing that there, that energy. If you can do this standing, then that's more comfortable, then that's fine. You don't have to. And just keep the arms moving. And whilst you're doing so, the fingers through the air, aware as if you're moving through water. Feel the sense of your own field and your own energy. Your temperature may rise, and now away. And as you're pushing away whatever's no longer needed, and do the same action but with hands cupping outward, pushing away whatever's no longer needed. Just moving that. And then we're going to switch. So now we want you to move your right hand, as you move your right hand going up, up and above the head, and then bringing your hand down with the thumb, as the thumb gently goes over your third eye, over the nose, going down, and then placing that hand on your stomach, just over your belly button, and then with the opposite hand doing exactly the same thing, lifting it up over the head and bringing the thumb going down over the brow of the nose, the forehead, over the lips, down, and then placing it on top of the other hand over your stomach. Breathing for a moment. Sense your body's needs and wants and what you're feeling. Just take note. Sense the energy around you. Feeling your feet and your toes grounded. I want you to imagine them going down into the earth, to the strings of always connected. And as you do the same, do that again with your hands going up to the heavens, bringing down to the stomach with one hand and again with the other. Gentle movement. Of course, if you have any shoulder problems or any problems whatsoever, any pain, then don't. Just breathe with the hands over your stomach. For those of you that are okay to moving your hands, just bringing down again. Once more. Equal on either side. Number. Doesn't matter which number. If you feel like your arms need to stop, that's fine. And then placing both hands, palms over the eyes and over the forehead. And just breathe. Feeling your third eye on your pineal gland in the brain. We've got that oxygen, we've got that moving in the autonomic nervous system. Grounding the spiritual in the physical, allowing that energy to wash over you. Slowly bring the hands down to the palms are just level with the chin, your fingertips over your brows, and just breathe. Bring the thumbs down so you're cupping your face. Just breathing, fingers apart so you can breathe. Relax. just fingertips back up to the middle of the forehead and just pull apart on your forehead with the fingertips gently as if you were opening the third eye, allowing them to come down and meet at the chin, and then continue to do the same movement, just slightly further back and going over the scalp, over the ears, again further moving down the hairline, down your parting, moving backwards with every stroke, pushing outwards with the fingertips just ever so gently until you reach the base of your neck. Again on the neck. When you reach the neck, I want you to put one hand on the opposite shoulder and just relax, breathe, and then drop that hand down and going across into the lap, and then use the other hand, whichever one you didn't use. So your fingertips, the massage of the shoulder, just hang there for a few moments, a few seconds, before crossing again over the heart and crossing those energy lines. Just sit with your hands in your lap, breathing, and just before you come round, bring one hand up to the face and open the eyes slowly over the fingertips, slightly open. Gradually that hand up to the forehead with your eyes open, just bring it round and down. And again, just to finish off with equal sides, that hand over the forehead and down. And breathe. Facing Fears and Life Force with the two cards that I picked, with the images for you two to see. So now take your journal or your personal journal or your moon journal, make notes on whatever came through for you. If there's nothing, then don't worry. If you just felt relaxed, then I've done my job. But in this moment, I'd like you to make a list. While you're feeling aligned and in your heart's coherence, if you pose the question, if you want to just quickly go and ask, however you choose to do that, whatever's right, what feels right for you, make a list of 10 things that you want to happen in the next 6 months. And then, when you've paused if you need to, ask out loud, what of those 10 things are from your ego? Not lots of people see the ego as a bad thing. The ego is us, it's the I, the am, and the I am. Us with the creator mind, the God mind, the universal mind coming together. It's also our tool to move through this reality. But knowing where you're asking for will allow you to know where and how to focus your energy and where you're aligned with. So ask, if you need to, what 10 things should or could I be doing? As Louise L. Hay would say, the coulds and the shoulds. So don't just write a list of the things you should do. Write a list of the things you could do. And be in awareness of this. This is the time, powerful time to release our patterns, to be aware of our subconscious. So in that list you write, aware, have the courage to step beyond your fear. That's the two, what she said. Facing fears. Was it facing fears? Facing fears for Kalima. Kalima. I chant to Kali every day. She can be loving or benevolent, but in the sense of, as we spoke of, that archetypal energy that's coming through, of how we can shift and let go and help us dissolve all the negativity. And I feel, as Yasmin always does, and something I now do every morning, if it helps you to surrender to the divine. Just turn that sound down. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Surrender your list to the divine, to be in the highest good for your soul and yourself. To be in perfect balance of our I and am. I am that I am. What is it you wish, you desire, your passions, your ignition, your spark wants to manifest for this new moon? Write that down. If you've got a piece of paper, just a small piece of paper, this sort of size is fine. If you write, I've written on mine. So if you have an A4 piece of paper, or you want to rip one out of your journal, just some printed paper. To write down. If you want to write that and make two lists, because we're going to burn one, and that's fine too. So on your list, your burn list, you need to make sure you do this. You can pause this and do it over a sink. I have a special bowl. She says you can write. Don't start jumping up there, monkey. So in my bowl here, that's where I would then light and burn. I'm not going to burn it because I need to do my list myself. But I suggest that you either do this over a sink, as I said, and just remember, once you've burnt your list, you take the ashes and you plant them in the earth. The ashes go back to the earth. Don't let the embers stay in the house. They need to go out the house. It's just tradition. Make sure that you, whenever you do any cleansing, and if you are burning that intention, that it's seeded to ground, to bring into the physical. Let that transmute into being into the physical realms to manifest. And the act of neurologically doing this, seeing it evolve, setting the intention, allowing our body to see it's been planted, the visual aspect of that, and physically doing that, like planting a seed, and then knowing that that will grow, is very powerful, and powerful to do at this time. I thank you for your time. I'm going to wrap things up for you guys, and I think is there anything I wanted to, we have a couple of books that I'm like, oh, I must read this to you, but okay, universal secret number 6 is what the universe has picked for us. This means that each planet that has a divine consciousness creating, forming and shaping it just like you do. Given this, our next universal secret is that each of us is a planetary body. In fact, every living being that has a physical form could be considered a planetary body. Does this give you greater respect for every life form, knowing that we each carry greater weight and responsibility within the cosmic dance of life? Planetary bodies impact on each other. Just as we're all planetary bodies, we all impact on each other. Your body presents presence and energy-filled aura interacts with those around you. Depending on the strength of your energy field, you could literally influence thousands of other beings on a daily basis. Now consider the energy field of a planet. Jupiter is almost 1.300 times larger than Earth, and although it's millions of kilometers from Earth, its energy field is immense and radiates out into our solar system, affecting and interacting with other planetary bodies as it does so. We're quite literally impacted by Jupiter's presence and the move we're tuned with this cosmic influence. The more we interact with it and evolve because of it, just as we can use our imagination to practice being on purpose, so too we can imagine what it's like to experience life on another planet. We can literally become our consciousness to any planet we desire via the spiritual dimensions, and by focusing on energy fields, feel and interact with the presence of another planetary body. How does the cosmic influence us? So how exactly are we influenced by cosmic energy, and how different is it to our own energy? Well, cosmic energy encompasses the entire universe and is multidimensional in nature. Therefore, everything is affected by the cosmos, which we can consider to be our own home. Earth is not immune to cosmic energy. Earth is part of the cosmos, and it also cosmic in nature. How you ever consider that you lived in a cosmic universe, as you've been about to discuss in chapter 7. I'm going to go into that, but and in reference to that, if what it said to share was that we are all affected by the planetary bodies, but how we choose, and in awareness of that, how we are in our own field will affect, like I said about the karmic, that's what karma is, resonance. So if you are in your field and you're in your access and you're doing your work and you're balancing and you're feeling in alignment and in coherence, then you're more likely to have a positive effect. But if you're, whatever it is, because Aries has this, and obviously it's coming out in me too, this what I'm passionate about and what I'm impassioned, this sense of righteousness regardless. So just remember, as I'm reminding myself, that we all need to be aware that we affect each other. We are one, we are unity, and each of us to see from other perspectives, as we said about Ramadan. We're asked during this spiritual time to abstain, I think they say, for the month, and the reason behind this and an understanding of this is like the gut health and the body and reset. So what can you do this month to reset? What can you do to look at things from a different perspective, because this has the potential to see things from the bigger picture, the visionary aspect, to be the leader in your own right, in your own home, in the sense of lead by example, to be the light in the life of those around you, and to hold that energy, to hold that resonance, and watch the ripples around you of how people are different, but also to understand that, as arguing sweetly was one of the energy tricks I think Lee Harris mentioned from this month, to understand that we all have our own perspectives and that they may not be the same. If you're one of the people that is feeling like this fork in the road that's happening and you feel a minority, then don't worry, because the slow growth and understanding, stay in your light, stay in your lane, stay as we move from the 4 to the 5, as the 3D way of seeing things, because it's a perception of seeing things, and more people coming over to this lane. You'll see that over the next 10 years as that increases. Just hold steady. Be the anchor in the ship of your own home, and here in your heart. My love and blessings and my thanks. Thank you for allowing me to hold space for you. Thank you for purchasing your ticket and for taking part in our new moon, Manifesting Magic. For those of you that, as we didn't go into it as well, you can, if you, with your ticket, as long as I've got your email for purchasing, you can get a copy of my vision board workshops for 50% if you've purchased a ticket to and been part of this workshop. Thank you again. I appreciate being able to do what I love in my own passion, is to share these things and do these processes myself, and I keep doing them. And if any of you are interested in having a reading, as I said, I no longer do these in the Zoom, so you can also book a half price reading, personal reading, which is done either on Zoom or on Telegraph or WhatsApp. I just need not even an image, just a question if you have one. If not, I just tune into your frequency to ask my guides what it is that you are vibrating and resonating at, so you can reevaluate what you're manifesting and how you want to go forward. Thank you for your time.